We are back. It has been an eventful day. There's still a little bit more to go. We have Steve Sarkisian dropping by, but Arch Manning has certainly set the woods on fire, as they say. Brooks Austin joining us, and we haven't had a chance to talk here much about the Dogs. So as you got a chance to consume all of what Kirby Smart brought, what did you walk away from?
It was kind of a news-free media day, honestly, Paul. It was kind of a by the wayside day for Georgia at SEC Media Days. Last year, I felt like he was inundated with questions about the driving situation. This year, I think the only notable question was about Gunnar Stockton and is he your starting quarterback? And he punted that one to the offseason, or to the start of the season. So kind of a no news is good news day for the University of Georgia, as is most of these football coaches. Look, I feel like, Paul, when coaches come up here to talk to SEC Media Days, that is almost like a state of address for their football program. And if there's nothing to address, we kind of go up there and do coach speak for 20 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with that?
So having said that, I want to get to what you're known for, and that's telling us what happens on the field.
Yeah.
And everybody's had an opinion on Gunnar Stockton. Mm-hmm. Not me, of course. But let's talk about him. When you watch him in a game, when you've looked at his career in high school and at Georgia, what do you see and what is he capable of?
Yeah, I see a football player who I described as a violent thrower of the football. Okay, he does his best and most accurate work, Paul, when he's able to really throw it as hard as he can. I don't know what your athletic background is, but if you ever play baseball, there are two types of pitchers, right? There's the pitcher who can kind of locate it whenever he wants, take a little bit off, and then there's that closer that can only really throw like dynamic strikes when he's throwing as hard as he can. I feel like that's Gunnar Stockton for me.
I was a mediocre second baseman.
Yeah. You were a what?
A mediocre second baseman.
A mediocre second baseman, so never really had expertise.
I never had to do
bump.
anything. I ran over to first base and tried to look busy, but I didn't want the ball.
Well, either way, I do think Gunnar is going to excel in that intermediate to deep portion of the game. I thought where Carson was really, really elite was that layering of the football, right? Being able to read concepts across the field, identify which one's gaining ground, and then select that guy and throw it accurately. Gunnar is going to be an explosive, violent thrower of the football for the University of Georgia this year, I think.
What does he have around him that makes it either easier or more complex?
The simplest way I can put this, Paul, when they played Notre Dame last year, a man-to-man football team, if it was 3rd and 4 in that football game and they needed a wide receiver to get open and guarantee this is our guy, they had to go to Dylan Bell last year, okay? This same exact roster this year with Dylan Bell on it, it's probably going to look to Colby Young, probably going to look to Noah Thomas, probably going to look to Zachariah Branch, and then come back to Dylan Bell, right? So the skill sets around him, the talent around him, a little bit better than what it was at this time last year when he went to face a really, really good Notre Dame defense.
It's hard to look at Georgia's defense and not think of a couple of years ago. So let's think of this year versus what we saw last year. Mm-hmm. Better?
Deeper. Okay, I would say deeper. I wouldn't say better. When you lose Malachi Starks, Micah Williams, and Jalen Walker, those are 3 first-round draft picks. Those are 3 high-end football players. Going to be hard to replace. I also think they, had some inexplicable or unanticipated losses at the defensive line position this last year. Damon Wilson goes to the portal and ends up at Missouri. I know for a fact they were not expecting that one. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins decides to go to the NFL draft a little bit earlier. I know for a fact they were not expecting that to happen to them this offseason. So you look up in January and you're like, okay, we got to get active in this spring portal, and they exactly did that, bringing in guys like Elo Medozi from Army. So I think they threw some bodies at it, but I would say deeper on the defensive side of the football this year, maybe not necessarily more star power and heavy.
So Georgia started last season as number 1 in the country, and they looked the part.
Yeah.
They won. Not many more times after that. Just in evaluating the roster, knowing what you know, help describe what this team looks like to you here in the middle of July.
So whatever it looks like on paper is all good. Georgia's always going to look like one of the most talented teams in college football because of the way that they recruit, the talent acquisition strategies, all that good stuff. Georgia did not execute at Georgia standards last year. And I go back to 2 specific football plays in that Notre Dame game, both 4th down, critical moments in the football game. It's 4th and 2. Dylan Fairchild jumps off sides for this football team. False start on a critical play. Very similar situation situation on the defensive side of the football. It's 4th and 2. Notre Dame's about to clinch a first down and ice the football game. I think it was Smile Mondon jumps into the neutral zone.
Right.
Paul, those are 2 multi-year starters, 2 of the better football players on Georgia's roster last year, 2 of their pivotal leaders that crumbled in an execution error in the middle of a heated football game. That kind of stuff does not win national titles. That kind of stuff does not play normally at Georgia under Kirby Smart. They were short in that area, on top of all the drops, on top of the fact that they weren't good enough on 3rd down, on top of the fact that they weren't the standard as a tackling team. No, they did not block the way that they were supposed to last year. But they didn't execute, Paul. That's point and simple.
It's easy message board, talk show conversation about Mike Bobo. We've had this conversation, but we're getting close to the season, and it really hasn't gone away. I know he's back. I know there's a faction of the Georgia fan base who don't like him. There's another group, namely Kirby Smart, who believe in him.
Yeah.
I know how you feel, but explain to all of the rest of us.
Yeah, Paul, I just think the standards were set with Todd Monken. And for some portion of Georgia fan base, if they don't win a national title, it's because the coordinator stinks, and we need to get rid of him. And I'm sorry, but if that's the bar, you're going to fire a lot of coordinators. Look, I went on what I called my football pilgrimage this offseason, Paul. Went to as many college football programs as would accept me, and just watched and listened and had football conversations for several days over. I spoke to a coordinator that actually played against Mike last year, and I said, hey, man, I know what I think of this guy. Same question you're asking me. What do you think of him as a defensive coordinator that's faced him? And he said, look, it's simple. When you're an offensive coordinator for Kirby Smart, you're going to get put into a box. He's a defensive coach. He doesn't want to be all bells and whistles, fun and tricks and trade and all this stuff. Ooh, what's new and innovative? No, we're going to line up and play football. We're going to protect our defense. We're going to protect the football. The magic about Todd Monken, and the reason he's one of the best coordinators in the sport of football, college and pro now that we see it on Sundays, is that he was able to find ways to be creative within the box that he was given by Kirby. And I don't know how many guys are going to be able to do that. Again, if the standard is, well, he's not doing what Todd did, well, I would argue he did. In his first year in 2024 or 2023 as offensive coordinator, Georgia led the nation in 3rd down completion percentage. They broke the scoring record at the University of Georgia. They had a 4,000-yard passer because they had Ladd McConkey and they had Brock Bowers. Okay. Well, they've got 2 or 3 NFL caliber weapons back on that roster this year. Let's see what he does with those before we're firing coordinators or going down Main Street to go get Buster Faulkner.
I hate to bring up Nick Saban, but I'm going to, because Kirby Smart is compared to Saban, and Saban had some of the same tendencies. And then finally he opened it up a little bit. He brought in Lane Kiffin, Sarkisian. He had Brian Daboll. He had some big-time coordinators in there. Is it time for Kirby Smart to relax a little bit about his basic tried-and-true philosophy?
Yeah, I think there is some semblance of that. And also, Paul, I think you're seeing that in some of the recruiting efforts that they've made. Last year in the 2025 recruiting class, they signed C.J. Wiley and Taylor. It's the highest pair of wide receivers that they've signed since George Pickens and Dominic Blaylock. Those guys signed back in 2019. We're talking about pre-COVID recruiting. So they're recruiting a different caliber of athlete, not to mention Jared Curtis, a 5-star quarterback in 2026. I'm not saying they haven't had elite quarterback play in years prior, but it's been a while since Georgia signed a predominant blue-chip prospect at that position.
How different would Georgia look today if the guy that just walked past here had gone to Georgia instead of Texas?
Oh, the Arch Manning cat? It would probably look a little bit different. The hype around it would be a whole hell of a lot different. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I know why people are, quote unquote, overlooking Georgia. Yeah, he was. It was down to Georgia. I would say Texas and Alabama would be that third school. But yeah, no, I mean, it would be a totally different hype machine around Georgia.
Bobo wasn't. We can't blame this on Bobo. He wasn't even there yet.
Everything's blamed on Bobo.
I'm blaming it on Bobo.
Get on the train. Everything's Bobo's fault.
You're married to Bobo, right?
I'm not married to Bobo. I'm just a rational person.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm hearing you extol Bobo, and then I'm just trying to figure out what I've missed throughout my career.
I do think it's unfortunate that I've been pitted as this Bobo defender.
You're the Bobo whisperer.
That's unfortunate. You know, no offense, Mike, or if you're listening, but it's unfortunate.
I like you a lot. I wouldn't want to be the Bobo guy.
You wouldn't?
No.
I appreciate you liking me, though, Paul.
No, I think you're great. But I'm sure when Georgia wins the national championship, everybody's going to come up to me, and I'm sure Bobo's going to say, "Hey, look at me now." I'm going to say, "Congratulations, Mike. You finally did something right."
You got a lot of coaches doing that to you, you know?
We'll be back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brooks Austin, let me scratch out. The Bobo Whisperer right here. We're taking a short break. Coming back.